Okay, the next section we're going to work on are problem solving problems, which most of you will know as word problems. And a lot of you have trouble with word problems, but the big thing about word problems is being able to just break it down. If you could break it down, I have a lot of students tell me that if I can just get the equation written out, I can do the solving, but it's a matter of getting the equation done. So let's see if we can help you out on that. You'll notice that I've got a problem here on the left, but then on the right side you'll see these steps. Read the problem carefully. Assign labels to unknowns. Develop a verbal model if you can. Write the equation, solve the equation, interpret the results. So these parts most people don't have trouble with. Well, I take that back. Writing the equation a lot of people have trouble with, but reading it and assigning the labels. So if you see things called a number, you'll see me usually put my X in for that. You'll see me label things, and labeling helps. You may not think it helps, but it really does help. So you need to remember your expressions and how we say certain things in words. Sum means to add, difference means to subtract, twice means to multiply by 2, things like that. So let's look at this first one. The sum of a number and negative 8 is 12. Always remember that is means equals. That's going to help us too. We're going to do some percent equations later on. That's going to be important too. So is means equals. So if we have a number, I'm going to let that be x. So sum means to add. I'm going to add a number. So here's my number. I'm going to add, and I'm going to add the negative 8 to it. And then I see is, I know that means equals 12. So you see now I have an equation. And I kind of just talked through it myself. And talking through and saying things out loud really helps. So I've got x plus a negative 8 equals 12. So I'm going to do the opposite. It says plus a negative 8. That's really minus 8. So I'm going to add 8 to both sides in order to cancel out that negative 8. So x equals 20. So my number is 20. Check it in your head. The sum of a number and negative 8. So does 20 plus negative 8 equal 12? Well, 20 minus 8 would be 12, so that would be correct. Okay, let's look at the next one. Do it the same way. The sum of a number and 4 is in negative 4 is 21. So the sum, again, I'm going to be adding. Here's my number, x, and negative 4 is 21. There's my equals. So the sum of my number and negative 4 is, which is equals 21. So again, I've got x plus a negative 4, so that makes that 4 negative. So do the opposite, add 4 to both sides. So I get x equals 25. Okay, so there's some with just straightforward translations. Let's look at this one. This one looks like it's going to be a little bit more because I've got twice the difference. Remember, when you have two operations without a number in between them, or without the word a number in between them, then you're probably going to need to be using some parentheses. So twice means I'm going to take 2 times. The difference means I'm going to subtract. Here's my of a number, that's x, and 7 is 74 less than. Remember, less than, we're going to have to switch the order of the phrase, because less than and subtracted from, we have to switch the order. And then there's the number again, and then 3 times means I'm multiplying by 3. So twice the difference of a number and 7. So if I'm taking twice the difference, I've got to put some parentheses in here. I'm taking the difference of a number and 7. Okay, I didn't have to switch the order on this one because it says difference. Is, so there's equals, 74 less than. So I'm going to put my negative 74 at the end because I'm switching the order. 3 times the number, that would be 3x. Okay, now on this one I've got parentheses, so let's clear the parentheses. So 2x minus 14 equals 3x minus the 74. Let's bring our x's to one side. So subtract 3x from both sides. I don't know if you noticed, but I generally bring all my x's to the left side if I've got a choice. 2x minus 3x gives me negative x, but I can always divide by that negative 1 at the end. I need to get rid of the negative 14, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to add 14. So then negative x equals negative 74 plus 14 will be negative 60. Divide both sides by negative 1. So x equals positive 60 because those negatives would cancel each other out. Alright, so that one's one where you had to use a connection with parentheses. Okay, they're going to get a little bit more trickier. So the difference of two numbers is 25. So it gives me some information there. This one is a little bit longer, not just one sentence. We're going to need to read it all the way through first. The larger number is 9 less than twice the smaller. Find the two numbers. So I'm going to do some more labels than just the labels that I did on the previous examples. I've got two numbers, a smaller and a larger. I know that the larger is 9 less than twice the smaller. I don't have any other information about the smaller, so I let that mean my first x. So x is going to be my smaller number. Now, it tells me the larger number is 9 less than twice this smaller number. So less than means I've got to switch that order. So twice the smaller number minus 9, that would be the larger number. And that can be a little tricky. You may have to rewind, you may have to listen to me again say that, but 9 less than twice the smaller, and I let x be the smaller. So always let x be the variable that you don't know enough about. Now, back to the first, remember the first sentence up here, it says the difference between the two numbers is 25. So I'm going to take the larger minus the smaller, and that equals 25. So my larger is 2x minus 9 minus the smaller x. Now if I had more going on besides just x, I would have put that in parentheses. Equals 25. 2x minus x is x minus 9 equals 25. Add 9. So that means x equals 34. There's my smaller number. Now it asks me for both numbers, so I've got to find the other number. Well, once you have this smaller number, remember that 2 times the smaller number minus 9 is going to equal the larger number. Well, 2 times 34, that's going to be, I think it's going to end up being 59 once we figure it out. 2 times 34 would be 68 minus 9, so 59. That would be my second number, my larger number. Alright, so there was somewhere where we're taking the words and we're making them into expressions and writing down the equations and solving them. So now let's talk a little bit about consecutive integers and what consecutive integers are. Consecutive integers are like pages of a book. Think about pages of a book. Pages of a book. If I have page 52, the next page would be page 53. And the next page would be 54. You know, those are consecutive. The next page would be 55. So on a number line, consecutive integers are one away from each other, one hop away. So you're counting in order. Okay? So what if we ask about consecutive odd integers? Okay, well, I'm going to circle the odd integers. Negative 5, negative 3, negative 1, 1, 3, 5. How many hops away are the odd integers? Notice they are 2 hops away. So we're going to have to keep that in mind. Consecutive even integers. I'm going to circle the even integers. Evens. 0 counts as an even. How many hops away are the evens? Well, they are also 2 hops. So these are 2 hops. These are also 2 hops. The consecutive integers, not even or odd, I'm going to write this on this page. They were all 1 hop away. Okay, back on that other page, they were 1 hop away. So here's what happens. If you let x be the smallest of 3 consecutive integers, I'm going to do my number line for my consecutive integers here so we can have this all on one page. -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. That's enough. And so consecutive integers for one hop away. If x is my first integer, then x plus 1 would be my next one. Because if I'm going from 0 to 1, I'm adding 1. If I'm going from 1 to 2, I'm adding 1. If I'm going from 2 to 3, I'm adding 1. So if I'm going from x to the next integer, I'm adding 1. So x plus 1 would be the next integer. Now, if I'm going to the next one after that, so let's say I'm starting at 0, I'm going to 1, I've added 1. If I'm going to the next consecutive integer, I'm adding 1 more. So that would be x plus 1, that was my second integer, plus 1 more. So I could shorten that and put x plus 2. Okay? This is going to become important when we do setup in just a second on consecutive integers. Alright, if x represents the smaller of 2 consecutive odds, remember that odds were 2 hops away. So to get to the next odd integer, I would automatically go to x plus 2. Okay, if I were going to the next one, which I'm going to answer that question in this next one for evens, because even and odds work the same way. If I'm starting with the smallest of 3 consecutive even integers, x is the smallest, then the next one would be x plus 2 because that's 2 hops. Then the next one after that would be 2 more hops. So x plus 2 plus 2, which would really be x plus 4 total hops. If I'm doing 3 integers, 3 odd or even. These are the same setup for odd and even. Doesn't matter if I'm talking odd or if I'm talking even, same setup. So here's how some problems will look. The sum of 3 consecutive integers is -63. Find the integers. So I always like to label. So x is going to be my first one. On just consecutive integers, I'm moving 1 hop away. So x plus 1 equals my second one. And if I'm going to do 3, then x plus 1 plus 1 more, which I'm going to go ahead and combine that to x plus 2, equals my third one. Now, you may need to pause the video now and kind of let that sink in. But there's my 3 integers, x, x plus 1, and x plus 2. It says the sum of these 3 equals, means equals, remember, -63. So the first one plus the second one, I'm going to put them in parentheses for now. The parentheses really don't matter here because I'm adding on everything, equals -63. Now it's an equation, so let's just solve this equation. How many x's do I have? 1, 2, 3. I've got 3 x's plus, let's add our numbers, 1 plus 2 is 3, equals -63. And then let's just solve it like we've been solving equations. Subtract 3 from both sides. So 3x equals -66. Divide by 3. So the first integer, -66 divided by 3, is -22. There's the first one. I want to find all 3 integers though. So there's the first one. The next one is -22. Remember, I need to add 1. So that would be -21. And then I'm going to take -21 and I'm going to add 1 to it. Let me erase that little mark that came up there, so it might be confusing to you later if you go back and look at these notes. -21 plus 1 equals -20. Now, remember these 3 were supposed to add up to -63, so you can always go back and check. Did -21, -20, and -22 add up to -63? And I checked them before I did this video, and they work. Alright, so here's something that gets a little bit more involved. Now, homework on these I don't think are going to be this involved, but we're going to work it just in case. 7 times the smallest of 3 consecutive integers is 144 more than twice the sum of the other 2 integers. Blah, that's a mouthful. So let's do our labels again. Remember, x equals the first one. In this case, I'm going to call it, they call them smallest to largest, so I'm going to call it the smallest. X plus 1. I'm just going to call it the next one. X plus 1 plus 1, or x plus 2 is going to be the third. Okay? So this says 7 times the smallest. So that would be 7x is 144 more than, so that's a plus. Twice means to take 2 times the sum of these other two. So I'm going to have to use some parentheses. 2 times the sum of the other two. Well, the other two are x plus 1 and x plus 2. That's the sum of the other two. So I've got a little bit of work to do on this one. I need to make that parentheses look a little bit nicer. Let's collect some like terms in that parentheses before I do anything with this 2 on the outside. X plus x would give me 2x. 1 plus 2 would give me plus 3. Now let's clear the parentheses. So 7x equals 144 plus 2 times 2x would be 4x. 2 times 3 would be 6. Now let's collect like terms on each side. Can't do anything with 7x. 144 plus 6 gives me 150 plus 4x. Now I need to bring all my x's together. So I'm going to subtract 4x from both sides. Remember, you always do the opposite when you're moving from left to right. 7x minus 4x gives me 3x. So that equals my 150. Divide by 3. So x equals 50. There's my first integer. Then the next one after that, you can just really think of them as 51 and then 52. Those are my 3 integers. Okay. The bottom one, it's going to be worked just like the one I did on the previous page because it's just consecutive. It doesn't give us really much more information. So x equals the first one. X plus 1 is the second one. And x plus 2 is the third. And it says the sum of these is 186. So x plus x plus 1. I'm not going to write the parentheses this time because it's not really necessary when all you have is addition. Equals 186. 1, 2, 3 x's. Collect your like terms. 1 plus 2 is 3. Equals 186. Subtract 3 from both sides. So 3x equals 183. Divide both sides by 3. So my first number, 183 divided by 3 is 61. So then the other two would be 62 and 63. You can add those up and make sure they equal up to 186. So there's consecutive integers. Now, I did not do a consecutive even or odd, but if I did, I would set it up as, let's insert a blank page in here. If you have consecutive even or odd, the setup goes x is the first one, x plus 2 would be the second one, and x plus 4 would be the third one if you have 3 in a row. If you just have 2 in a row, then you just do the x and the x plus 2. But that's on even or odd. Either one, the setup will look like that. And if it's the sum, you would add these 3 together, and they would equal up the sum. Okay, let's look at some different kinds of application problems. Here's some real world problems that you may encounter. We've got an electrician. He's got a 30-foot cable. So this cable is 30 feet long. And he's got to cut this cable so that one piece is 4 times longer than the other. So I'm just going to do this, and that's kind of just an estimate. So if the smallest piece is x, this other piece has to be 4 times longer than x, so that's 4x. Find the length of each piece. Well, remember these two pieces, that whole piece was 30. So each part, x plus 4x, needs to be equal up to the total, which is 30. So x plus 4x is 5x equals 30. Solve for x, so divide by 5. So the small piece is going to be 6 feet. The longer piece is 4 times the smaller piece. So 4 times 6 would be 24 feet. And you can check yourself, and 24 and 6 add up to 30. So that would be correct. Alright, here we have basketball points, it looks like. In a basketball game, Lakeisha and Sarah scored combined 36 points. So the two of them together are 36 points. Sarah has 6 fewer points than Lakeisha. How many points does each woman score? So Sarah has fewer than Lakeisha. We don't really know much about Lakeisha, so I'm going to say let x be Lakeisha's points. And Sarah scored 6 fewer than that. So x minus 6 equals Sarah's points. And notice it really helps to label. A lot of you try to do these things in your head and it doesn't quite work out all the time. Label, label, label. So remember combined means to add. They combined for 36 points. So x, Lakeisha, plus Sarah, x minus 6 equals 36. And let's work this out. So x plus x is 2x minus 6 equals 36. Solve for x, so let's add 6 to both sides. So 2x equals 40. Divide by 2. So x equals 20. Alright, so that's how many Lakeisha scored. Remember, so that's Lakeisha. Sarah was 6 points less than that. So 20 minus 6 would be 14. No. I did something wrong. 36 plus 6 is 42. Somebody didn't catch me. So that would be 21. I'm so sorry. 21 minus 6 is going to be 15. I'm thinking I'm working ahead and adding these two numbers, and they don't add up to 36 points. So I messed up here. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to erase this so you can see it a little bit better in the notes. I'm so sorry about that, but you know what? Everybody makes mistakes, even the instructor. So that's going to be 21. So then 21 minus your 6 is your 15. Just erase those and fill them back in. So those of you out there working on 98, you're not the only one that makes mistakes. So does your instructor. It happens. Alright, 21 plus 15, that adds up to 36. I'm good now. Alright, let's look at the next one. I think it's a rope problem. You may see some of these in homework where you've got a rope and you've got to cut it into 2 pieces. So I don't have a picture on this one, so I like to draw the pictures. Here's my rope. It's 54 inches long, so I like to label that. So 54 inches long. And I need to cut the rope into 2 pieces. One piece has got to be twice as long as the other. So I'm going to let this be the small piece. I'm going to let that be x, and then the larger piece is twice that, so 2x. So this is kind of like the pipe problem we just did. The 2 pieces have to add up to the 54 inches. Now I'm totally messed up because I messed up on that problem. Okay, so x plus 2x equals 54. So y'all have to watch me. X plus 2x is 3x equals 54. Divide by 3. So 54 divided by 3 is going to be 18, I believe. But you might want to check me and make sure. So I think the smaller piece is going to be 18. And so 2 times 18 would be 36 inches for the larger piece, and 36 plus 18 does equal 54. So I'm good with that one. So there are some word problems, basic ones, some where you have to do expressions, some consecutive integer ones, and some real world rope problems. Have a great day.